Hello, good morning. Welcome to Beitzah Daf Beitzah 24. Um, we'll get right into it. Shmuel again can't join me today. Yesterday he enlisted in the army. Today he took on a job as secretary for the president of Israel. What's his name? Herzog. Herzog. He's become the personal secretary. Previously, Reuven Rivlin had a secretary of the wife of Yitzchak Ravitz from Telstone. Everyone knows the famous story. Yitzchak Ravitz's wife met Joe Biden. Joe Biden took a knee for her. He was very impressed that she had so many kids and she was such a mother. So Joe Biden bowed down to her and showed her a lot of respect. Shmuel is hoping to visit America soon, visit Joe Biden. He said he's going to kneel down in front of Joe Biden this time, Shmuel, to show him respect. I'm joking. Joke. Yeah, I've taken a lot of avodas in the past couple of months. My avoda in Elul was to make my brother-in-law laugh. Sometimes it can be very serious, so I made him laugh. During Elul, my avoda in Tishrei is to get my wife to laugh. And one of my jokes, she doesn't laugh, just she doesn't appreciate my sense of humor so much. My avoda for Cheshvan, I already accomplished this, is to get my mother-in-law to laugh. I got her actually second time yesterday to really laugh. And my avoda for Kislev is to get another brother-in-law to laugh. He's very serious. I tried making a joke. He laughed. He said it wasn't a real laugh. He didn't let his guard down. Get him really crack up. I can do it. I think I can do it. All right. The Gemara here says on Chav Gimel and Beis, the new parak Ein Sadin. The bottom here, Ein Sadin Dagim Bibarim V'Yom Tov. You can't trap fish from Bibarim or enclosures. They had a pond of water. It's not considered trapped already because it can swim away. You trap it, you're considered trapping on Yom Tov. Even though trapping, you could say, is Ochel Nefesh. Ochel Nefesh doesn't apply to everything. It only applies to things which are immediately going to bring you achila, shchita. You'll immediately cook it. Say this dagim. People don't always just do it for immediate achila purposes. Sometimes they trap fish and they'll freeze them or whatever. So it's not necessarily done for achila purposes. It's not allowed in Yom Tov. And also the Amazonas, you can't be matriach yourself to throw bread to the fish. A lot of people have the minhag on Rosh Hashanah on Tash to throw bread to fish. It's questionable from this Mishnah. You're not supposed to feed them because they already have food. It's not your Amazonas is not totally you. They have algae and the marsh, the grass in the marsh they could eat. But a wild animal and a bird that are in enclosures, you're allowed to trap them. They're already considered traps, so you're not doing anything. And you can even feed them. Because some of them have nowhere else to get food if they're trapped in your enclosure. Shingli Omer, I guess somebody at a zoo or something like that, where you have these animals and their mazonos is on you. The lion and the bird in your zoo. That's what we're talking about in the zoo, we'll say. They don't have anywhere else to get their food from. You're giving them their food, so it's not a tircha, the tzarech, they need food. He says not all enclosures are similar. If it's considered that it's hard to trap the animal and it lacks trapping, it lacks being already trapped, you can't trap it. If it's already trapped, then you accomplish nothing. So let's say you have some lions in a lion cage or whatever in an exhibit in the zoo. So if the lions have a place to run away, so then you're trapping them when you contain them. If they don't have a place to run away, then you're not trapping them because they're already trapped. Whereas the Raminu will be born Shalchayev Shalofos inside the Mehen Biyom Tov. The Beitzah says you can't trap birds and wild animals on Yom Tov. Einos Mazonos. And likewise, you can't give them mazonos, possibly because they're in the wild or something like that, or they have mazonos provided for them. Anyway, the main question is from the Seidos, Kasha Chaya Chaya, Kasha Ofos Ofos, and the Mishnah says you're allowed to trap wild animals and birds. The Beitzah says you're not. Bishlam Chaya Chaya Lo Kasha Harav Rabbanan. In fact, it's a machlokes here in Rabbanan, as we see in the Mishnah in Shabbos. It's not Rav Yehuda Omer Asad Sipor LaMigdal Besvila Bayir Chayev. If you want to trap something, to consider it trapped, you have to trap a bird into a closet. Or svi, a wild animal, you have to trap it into a house. Then you are considered trapping it. L'bayis hu the mechayev al barin lo. If you trap it into an enclosure, like in a zoo, one of its enclosures, you're not considered chayev. That's according to Rabbi Yehuda. They agree with him by a bird. It's only considered trapped if you trap into a closet, but a svi, a deer, if you trap it, it has to be trapped into a garden or a yard or a beaver. So they hold into a house not. So you see the Chama, Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says that it's already considered trapped in a house. In a beaver, it's not considered trapped. So therefore, if you were to trap it, this Beitzah follows Rabbi Yehuda, or the Beitzah the Gemara brought from Shabbos, where it says that you're chayiv. That's talking about according to Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda says that it's considered trapped already. It's not considered trapped already. Only in the house is considered trapped. An enclosure is not considered trapped. So when you trap it, you're trapping. And Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan is the author of the Mishnah, who says that it's only considered trapped when you have it in a beaver. It's even considered trapped when you have it in a beaver. And therefore, if you trap it once it's already in the enclosure, in the exhibit, in the zoo, you're not accomplishing anything that's mutter. That resolves chaya. Ofos kasha. How are you going to resolve the birds? The bird case, Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan both agree that in a closet it's considered trapped. If it's not in a closet, it's not considered trapped. You could answer the Beitzah, which is also that's talking about where the enclosure doesn't have a roof, where it could fly away. So therefore, you're trapping it. And our Mishnah was talking about where the enclosure, the exhibit, had a roof, so it can't fly away. So you get it very easily. But a house is like enclosure, an exhibit, which has a roof. They both agree. Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan both agree that in a house it's not considered trapped. So how could you differentiate and say that in a bibar makura it would already be considered trapped? We see Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan both agree it's not considered trapped. Amar Rav bar Huna hacha b'sipur joras skinan. In the Mishnah in Shabbos, we're talking about where he said you have to trap it into a migdal, you have to trap it into a closet. That's talking about a type of bird which flies away very easily, a drorian bird. She'enim kabelas moros. It doesn't become domesticated. It lives in the house like it's in the field, like it flies away very easily. It's very hard to contain it. It's very hard to catch it. That's what the Beitzah says. The Mishnah says in Shabbos that that's talking about a sipor drawer. Only if you get in a closet, then you consider trapping it. In a house, it's not considered trapping it. But any other bird, it would depend whether the beaver is makur. The enclosure is closed off on top. It's makur, it has a roof. If it has a roof, it's already considered trapped. And that's the Mishnah, which says that you're not chayiv for trapping. And if it's not makura, that's the earlier Beitzah with the Gemara brought. The oaf is chayiv because it's not considered trapped in the beaver she'eno makura. So the Gemara says, Hashta the aslahachi. Now that we came to say this difference between bibur makura and a bibur not makura, chaya chaya namilokash, habibur katan, habibur gadol. You can say, just like we're saying, there's two different types of enclosures, exhibits. There's an exhibit which has a roof, and an exhibit which doesn't have a roof. You can say the same thing when it comes to enclosures or exhibits. If it's a small enclosure, So that's what the Mishnah is talking about. Chay and Ofos, it's a small enclosure. So when you trap it, it's already considered a trap. And the Beitzah, which says that a Chay or off your Chay, that's talking about Bibar Gadol, a large enclosure where you have to really run after it. It's hard to catch it. So that would be considered Seidah if you caught it. What's how do we halakhically differentiate between them? What's the practical application of this? If you're able to run after it with one swipe, you run after it, and one movement, you're able to catch it with one movement. That's considered a small enclosure. And if it's bigger than that, then it's considered a big one. If there's a lot of corners for the animal to escape, that's considered a big enclosure, a big exhibit. If not, it's a small one. Wherever the shadows of the wall, if it's so small that that when the sun comes on one wall and the shadow, it produces a shadow that goes from one wall to the other wall, small enough that the shadow from one wall will reach the other wall, so that's considered a small bibar. It's already considered a trap, and you wouldn't be chayav for trapping that. If it's bigger than that, then it's a bibar gadol, and you would be chayav, like the Beitzah, for trapping it. That it depends what type of bibar it is. Like we said before, it's small or it's big. Abaye said to Rav Yosef, it's mashma that Rosh Gamliel is not chol. Like the way where we finally constructed our Mishnah is that our Mishnah was talking about differentiating between bibar gadol and bibar katan. So Rosh Gamliel says kol shemachosar say that it sounds like the same thing. So it's really not an argument. What are you saying? The halacha like Rosh Gamliel, the halacha is like the Rabbanan also. Amar my nafka lachamina. Amar said, what's the difference for you? I'll tell you halacha like Rosh Gamliel, and you'll know also the halacha like the Chamim. Amalei, Gemara is more to hey, we're going to treat the Gemara like a song, like you just add lyrics just to make it sound nicer. You're going to just add words and say, oh, the to sound nicer. No, say the facts. The is like everybody. We have to know. Otherwise, it's unclear because then we can assume Shem could argue on the Mishnah, on the Rabbanan. It's not like a song where you just add things unnecessarily. Everything is meduktuk. Everything is very specific in the Gemara. Words are chosen very carefully, and to avoid mistake, you have to say the truth. You can't say something which might lead someone to say something which is not true. So Shmuel says the difference is the general rule is that if it requires catching, then you're chayav for doing seidah. If it doesn't require catching, you're not. What's the general chuzur seidah? According to Shmuel, Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Kol Sha'omer. Have mitzuda v'nitzudeno. Any animal, what you say about it, bring a trap, and I have to trap it. If it requires a person that they bring a professional trap, a type of utensil, type of apparatus that they have to use to catch it, so then it's considered catching it. Again, this seems to be the same shita, another way of defining what's the difference between a bibar gadol and bibar katan. Alternatively, Ben Sion, Archie believes it's a possibility that Abaye really holds that maybe there is machlokas between Shem Gamliel and the Rabbanan. That's why he says Gemara is more that hey, maybe there is a difference between them, and this would be a different shear. That the differentiation between Shem Gamliel and the Rabbanan is according to the Rabbanan, it depends the actual size of the bibar, the exhibit. And according to Gamliel, it depends on whether it's a Maisa Uman or not, whether it has professional or not. You need a professional apparatus to catch it. So it depends on the utensil that you use. That would be the definition of Mechusar Seder or not Mechusar Seder. That could be possibly an explanation that we're going to see. That's why Abaye is the one who said this. He's weighing in on this topic because he is the one that holds that Gamliel argues on him. So Rabbi says, when you have geese and you have chickens, in order to catch them, normally people bring an apparatus to catch them. The Beitzah says that if you catch these things, also you catch these Herodian pigeons. I guess they used to have in the time of King Herod. Potter, he's Potter. Amarav Barav Huna, Amar Shmuel Halalu Ba in the Kluv on the Erev, Halalu in Ba in the Kluv on the Erev. The Beitzah was talking about wild geese and wild chickens. They don't come home at night. They don't come to their nest at night. If they come to their nest, so even if you have to bring an apparatus, they're coming back to their nest. So really, you could just wait till tonight and they'll come back. So you don't really, it's not really considered catching them. The wild ones, they don't come back at night, so therefore you're chayiv. What about the doves from the dovecote or from that dwell in your attic? They come back to their nests at night. Or birds which made nests in jars in a mansion, the outer layers of the mansion. Chayiv, you're chayiv. Ella Amarav Baravuna Amar Shmuel Halalu Ba in the Kluv on the Erev Mizonos Halach. Halalu Ba in the Kluv on Ve'ein Erev Ve'ein Mizonos Halach. You need two tonight. If they come back at night, and also they depend on you for food. These birds, these Yone Shovach, Yone Aliyah, even though they come back at night, but they find their own food. So it's not considered that they're dependent on you. So they're easier to trap if they come back at night and they're dependent on you. Mario Amar Hani Avidi Larbuye, Hani Lo Avidi Larbuye. He gives a different distinction. He says that you need also, they come back at night. Also, in addition to coming back at night, they also, whether they'll try to evade capture or not. Regular geese or chickens, they come back at night. And they'll avoid, they won't avoid capture. It's easy to capture them when they come back at night. But the case of the other birds, the Yone Shovach, Yone Aliyah, they come back at night, but they're hard to catch. They'll evade you for a little bit. So the Gemara says, "Kulanami avidi l'rbuye." The general, all chickens and geese, they make it difficult for you to catch them. They'll run away a little bit. So the Gemara says, "The kluvan kamrinan davidi l'rbuye." If when they're home, when they're in their home space, when they're in their nests, are they going to run away or not? And some geese and chicken will, and some won't. The ones that will are trapped. The ones that won't are not trapped. The ones that will run away are not trapped. The ones that will run away are considered not trapped. The ones that won't run away are considered trapped, and you're not chayav for trapping them. Mishnah: Mitzudos chayav ovid dagim she'asan me'erev yom tov lo yital mehen b'yom tov elam ken yodea shenitzudum me'erev yom tov. You have traps of wild animals, let's say deer, and birds and fish that you made from erev yom tov. You shouldn't take from them on Yom Tov. We're going to see that it's a suffix whether they were trapped on Yom Tov. We know that if they were trapped and they were Mechusar Seda, they need to be trapped. They came from the outer world or whatever. You set up a trap somewhere in the middle of a field. That certainly you didn't know about them, so it's considered Muksa. It's not considered Mukhan. So it's called suffix Mukha. We're not sure it was caught before Yom Tov or erev Yom Tov. And suffix Mukha, we're going to see is Asr according to one opinion. According to the majority opinion. Unless you know for sure they were caught by Erev Yom Tov. There was an incident with one guy. He brought fish that were a suffix muchan. When they were trapped, the fish were trapped. They went into the trap in the lake on Erev Yom Tov or on Yom Tov himself. Amar mutar, he said they're mutter. Either we'll seal a taltal or to eat. I want to be machmer myself. I don't want to makabel. So the Gemara says Maisa list, or the first part of the Mishnah says that it's suffix muchan is aser, and then Rav Gamliel says it's mutter. The Gemara says chasori mechser, a missing part of our Mishnah. V'achi gasani, suffix muchan aser. Suffix muchan, like it's the beginning of the Reish of the Mishnah says is aser. Gamliel matter. Gamliel actually allows suffix muchan. The svara seems to be like Rav Gamliel because the suffix whether it's muksa or not over here. And Safik Derabanan, you usually go Lakula over here. We'll see, maybe there's a way out of this that even if it's Safik Mukhan, there's one opinion that says Gamliel Matud even Achila, and Achila's Muksa could be Daraisa, according to Rashi and Daf Beis. So then it could be a Safik Daraisa, and that's why it goes to Chumrah regarding the Achila. Next, the Nidon in the Mishnah, the Iker Nidon in the Gemara is talking about whether you could eat it or not. And there was a story with a guy. He said they're mutter. I don't want to be machmer. I don't want to take them. I want to be machmer like other shita. Lacha is not following Gamliel. Stavik muchan is aser. Let's say bachila. You can't eat it. And others taught this teaching of Rabbi Shmuel on the following: the Sanya Stavik muchan Gamliel mater Yeshua oser. Gamliel allows it, and Yeshua asers it. Amar Rabbi Shmuel lacha Rabbi Yeshua. Lacha follows Rabbi Yeshua. Stavik muchan is aser. And others quote Rabbi Shmuel on the following: the Sanya Chav Gilon Beis Shochtin Minha Nigarin biyom tov avalom min areshtos umina machmoros. You can shecht from the exhibits or the enclosures which are already trapped on Yom Tov because they're considered trapped, but not from the actual trap you set up in the field and the chmoros you set up in the lake to catch the fish it's in the wild because it was caught on Yom Tov. If you find the trap was already dismantled on Erev Yom Tov, and there's an animal in there, fish in there, we know it was called Erev Yom Tov, it's obvious. Mutar, and they're mutar, because then you had knowledge about it, and you're making it bedas, and it's not muksa. Bo matzah mikul kalan b'Yom Tov, let's say you didn't check for Yom Tov, you found on Yom Tov that it was dismantled. Yom Tov nitzodu. That's certain. You could assume that it was caught on Yom Tov and it's aser. So when it says haguva kasha, this price really doesn't make sense. If you found it dismantled, the trap before Yom Tov, you do a Shemer Yom Tov Nitzodu. Time with the Baal Matzah Mikul Kol, it's only because you found it that it was dismantled. Hasveika, if you're not sure it was dismantled on Erev Yom Tov or on Yom Tov itself, Asurin. So you see Safik Mucha is Asur. Emasef. Baal Matzah Mikul Kol and Yom Tov. If you found that it was Makukal on Yom Tov, you do a Yom Tov Nitzodu. Time with the Baal Matzah Mikul Kol. Hasveika, let's say you're Safik, you don't know, you got someone brought the fish to you or brought the wild animal to you, and you don't know when it was Makukal or not. Sveika, Erev Yom Tov, so we can assume that it was trapped on Erev Yom Tov, Mutar, and Safik Muchal Mutar, Achigamar. So the Gemara answers, Bo Matzah and Mikul Kol Erev Yom Tov, if you found it dismantled on Erev Yom Tov, Yadu Hashem Erev Yom Tov, Nisodu, Mutar, and they're Mutar. Hasveika, but if it's a suffix, nasa kamisha nitzudu b'yom tov v'asurin. Look, you have to assume that it's like they were trapped, like it was makukal, like it was trapped on Yom Tov. It's asur. Amar Yudam Shmuel lacha Hashem Elazar. He says the third place this is said. He says alacha Hashem Elazar. Again, it's suffix muchan is asur. So the Gemara says it goes into the Gamliel shita. Amar mutarin lamai. What is it mutar? Rav, I'm on the Kabbal. You can be metal. You can accept the gift. You can accept the fish. You can move it. You can do tiltal muksa. The Levi, I'm mutar and bachila. Levi says you're allowed to eat it. So if you say like Levi, so then savik muchan is shalad daraisi. I'm Rav. The olam al yim na adam asam beis hamed. Rav says really it should be like me because a person should learn that they shouldn't not go to beis medrash. Afilu shachas. So even 1 minute. The ana of a Levi havinan kamed the Rebbe. We were both sitting in front of Rebbe. Ka'amar la shmaisa. When he was talking about this sugya of Safik Muchan, or Amar Mutar and Bachila. At night, he said the fish or the wild animal was trapped, and you're not sure when it was trapped. Mutar and Bachila. He said it's mutar, eat it on Yom Tov. Safra Amar Mutar and Lakaba. And he only said in the morning it's mutar Lakaba. Ana Dahava B'min Rasha Adribi. I was in the base matters in the morning also. I was choser boy. I said, according to Gamliel, all you can do is to move it, it's Lataltel. Levi, Levi wasn't in Beit Medrash in the morning. It sounds like it's not like Levi. He didn't hear what Rebbe was. He was Choser, but when he said you can only Lataltel, you can't eat it. If a guy brings a present to Israel, the fish they were red. So it's safek whether they were caught today or they were caught yesterday. Peiros. And the fruit, you know for sure they were picked on Yom Mutar. You're allowed to do something with that. So what? Bishlam Mutar on the Kabel, according to Rab, who says that regularly allows you to metaltal them shapir. It makes sense that you could move them because it's not so severe to move them. Elamand Amr Mutar and Bachila, Peras B'nei Yoman Misharu Bachila. If it was for sure picked today, it was for sure muksa. Not a suffix muchan, it's vade, not muchan. because you didn't know about it. It's no lot. It's taken out of the ground, and malacha was done with it. Ksira was done with it for the purpose of a Jew. You're allowed to eat it. Looks where it says tamayach. Even when I say it's the shaila of whether you tilt or not, peres b'neyom mishar b'tiltel. If it was picked today for a Jew, so it was malacha that was done by a non-Jew on behalf of a Jew. He did a malacha of ksira, he cut it off the field. So it's, first of all, it's muksa, and second of all, it's ma'isa nachri that an avera was done for you, for a Jew, and you can't benefit from it. So we're talking about fish that were actually, like we said before, they're red around the gills. And the fruits are not for sure picked today. They were wrapped in green leaves, askinan, and greens. And why they call they're picked today? They look fresh because they're wrapped in green, so they stay fresh. We're not sure. It's again in both cases, the fish and the fruits. We're not sure. It's a big case of safek muchan. If a guy brings to Israel a gift on Yom Tov, if some of those types of fruits are still attached to the ground, it's asur. We can assume it was picked today, so it's safek muchan. Well, the Erev Nami asurim v'deishi yasu, and also it's asur after Yom Tov. Also, the amount of time it takes to harvest these fruits, because it was a ma'isa avera that was done for Yisrael. The Gemara in Shabbos says a ma'isa avera done for Yisrael is also asur for a Jew to benefit on Yom Tov or Shabbos. If you look around and you see that all of these fruits were not attached to the ground anymore on Shabbos or Yom Tov, so you could assume he did it from Erev Yom Tov. Tochat Tchum Mutter. If the guy came from within the Tchum Shabbos, then it's Mutter. Chutz Tchum Asur. But if he came from outside the Tchum, then again he violated Hilchos Tchum, and he violated an Isser for a Jew, so then you can't benefit it. From Abba B'Shvil Yisrael Zeh, on top of Chaf Hem and Aleph, Mutter Li Yisrael Acher. Since it's only a violation derabanan, Tchumim are really only derabanan. So therefore, the Gemara in Shabbos says that if a guy did a malacha for Yisrael, he's only also for that Yisrael. But another Yisrael who the malacha wasn't done for, he could benefit from it. So therefore, even if it came from Kusat Tchum, another Jew could benefit from it. Everyone have a good Shabbos. Have a good day. Bye.